let you know what is trending in the world of social media and more. And the only lady that will give us all the accurate information is standing by looking so beautiful in that red suit. Good morning, Olamide. The Valentine has started with you already.
Good morning. Not as beautiful as you, of course, but we do our best. Us TVC girlies.
Yeah.
Now, team, you know how Monday is. So much happened over the weekend. I've got to jump right in. Shall we?
Take it away.
Good morning, Nigeria. Like I always say, TVC has a finger on the pulse and our eye on the streets. And here on the Trending Now segment, my team and I do our best on a daily basis to bring you some of the trending stories that are shaping the world that you and I live in. We begin today in the church, where a popular relationship coach and the head of David Christian Center, Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo, is trending after revealing a Bible-inspired tattoo over the weekend. Now, the cleric, who recently turned 50, shared a video of the tattoo process on Instagram, and the clip opened with a voiceover of John 3:16, one of the most widely recognized Bible verses. And what started as a birthday moment for him quickly turned into a heated social media debate, with opinions divided on whether a pastor should have a tattoo. Well, in response to all the criticism that he got, Pastor Okonkwo defended his decision, describing it as a form of evangelism. The tattoo is written in Roman numerals, and it does represent John 3:16. And in a follow-up post, he argued that many people focused on the tattoo itself, but he said that the scripture, because of his tattoo, has now reached millions online within 24 hours. Have a look at what he has to say. But the bigger question now is this: should religious influence be judged by outward expression, or by how many people the message actually reaches? And what does it mean for his ministry and his followers? Very interesting debate. Let's have a look at social media. Modern day pastors. Wilson Stevens says, so now we're judging a pastor by a tattoo? Let's get this straight. Leviticus 19:28 warned against pagan rituals, not personal faith or meaningful ink. Integrity, teaching, and obedience to God. Skin art any day. If your faith is strong enough to criticize someone for expressing themselves while serving God, maybe check your heart first. The church is about the spirit, not superficial traditions. Stop making controversy out of personal expression. True leadership is measured in impact and not ink. I'll take one more tweet. The diabetes doctor says, as a public figure in the Christian faith, his public personal decisions have a far-reaching effect on his followers. The question is, how has the public display of his tattoo increased the faith and belief in God? Team, as usual, very interesting discourse around this subject. You know, a Nigerian pastor got a tattoo and all hell broke loose on social media. We're not here to debate Christianity. We're just here to talk about what does this mean for his ministry? Is it right or wrong? What are the implications of this? And what does this tell us about modern day pastors, Mr. Shomi?
Of course, obviously, the tattoo will never diminish his spiritual knowledge or diminished his faith in any form. He's free to do whatever he likes with his body or pass any message as long as they are not obscene. And using biblical or particularly making references to the Bible and citing John, I think it's good if it's able to get the message through tattoo to so many people. Like we are discussing it today, if there had not been any tattoo, we would not be here talking about it.
Of course, nobody will even know what John 3:16 means. So, you know, for me, it's two sides, okay? I don't think we should judge people, because even in the Bible, he said, he without sin should cast the first stone. You know, oftentimes there are people that look upright, no tattoo on their body, no earrings, nothing, but they are demons. So me, I do not judge people from how they look. I don't judge their appearance. Basically, for me, it's the heart. And oftentimes we know that God looks at your heart and not your appearance. So I do not have any problem with it. That is his personal life. That is what he wants to do. But then when you take it to the other side, people will now say he's a role model. He's a beacon of hope. So, you know, if people are saying the pastor draws tattoo, then what are you saying to your congregation? But then again, to play devil's advocate, you know, what your pastor does doesn't mean you should follow through and do it, because you are your own person. He is his own person. I don't think there should be any controversy about this. It's his life, it's his choices. He's decided to put a tattoo. John 3:16, right? For God so loved the world, he gave us so. Well, good to him. You know, I don't think we should make a buzz about it. We should rather focus on worshiping God. Christianity is in the heart, not in flesh.
Yeah, and that's what we often hear. It's in the heart, not in the body. And the fact that a whole lot of people know John 3:16, even if you ask an Ogboni, they will recite it offhand. It's a very popular verse in the Bible, and I'm one person who reads a lot of religious texts, including the Bible, the Quran, the back one, you know, different kind of books back to back. And I know for a fact that, as you've quoted in that tweet, Leviticus 28 rather, where it says that do not cut your bodies for the dead or put tattoo on your body, for I am your Lord. But people will say that Leviticus is part of the old laws. But I know for a fact as well that Jesus Christ said in Matthew 5:17 to 20, where he says he has not come to abolish the law of the old, but to manifest them. And you must preach the law. I'm just paraphrasing. So, it's neither here nor there. Some will say, no, the law is the law of the old. But Jesus Christ himself said, no, he has come to manifest these laws. But I feel that we should know God for ourselves and not see God through the prism of the person. So if we can read the Bible ourselves, I think we'll be, we'll get that salvation.
Thank you so much for your input, Tim. Moving on, a video of former Kogi West Senator Dino Melaye cruising in a luxury car through a scenic location abroad is stirring a lot of conversation, not just for the luxury in the video, but also for what was said. Now, in the clip, Dino Melaye reflects on Nigeria's state, saying that the country needs to become a place, in quote, where wicked leaders will be in jail and the right people will be in power. He added that Nigeria must be fixed. Well, this message did appear to contrast development abroad with conditions back home. And the reaction to his opinion was very swift. Many Nigerians turned the spotlight back on Senator Dino Melaye, questioning what changed during his time in power. Some even pointed to development gaps in his former constituency, while others raised his past party switches and his long history within the political system that he's now so openly criticizing. But as usual, I'll leave you with a question. When politicians criticize the system after leaving office, is it accountability or is it selective outrage? Let's have a look at social media. I'll take 2 tweets on this. Daily Banger says, this guy was a Nigerian senator for many years. His constituency is one of the most underdeveloped and poorest in Nigeria. He received hundreds of millions in constituency projects, and yet he's here preaching like he wasn't part of the leadership that once bankrupted Nigeria. O.A. Freeman had a lot to say. He said Nigerian politicians become conscious and begin to differentiate between good and bad as soon as they leave public office. This coming from you is the height of hypocrisy. You are part and parcel of the problem, sir. While your agitation and support for the masses are well known, what about the corruption that happened right under your nose? Had you spoken out, perhaps we would be in a better place by now because you had the love and trust of the people. Even now, if you cannot change or impact everyone, you could at least start within your community, but instead you choose to fill your house with expensive cars. With all due respect, sir, I do not think you have the moral right to say this, Dino Melaye. Senator Dino Melaye. Team, as usual, very quickly, very interesting dialogue here. You have a man who once had power and had the power to implement policies to better his constituency, and yet he now sits at the fringes of government saying this government needs to do better.
Oh, who is better used to describe the situation which Dino himself is trying to highlight. He lives a very ostentatious lifestyles. He moves about, in very expensive vehicles, in a way that many people kept wondering, look, is this man really making this money from politics? So at the end of the day, he exemplifies the problem which he is calling public attention to. He's part and parcel of the system. There is no way how Dino Melaye can, isolate himself from what has happened in the past in this country. So when people are beginning to try and fix this problem, it is not up to Dino Melaye to now start, highlighting the problem within the system when he is one of those who created those problems in the first instance.
But Mr. Shomi, quickly, someone will say that, maybe he has seen the light now. So back when he was in government, he did not know what was happening. But now that he's not in government, he can see the light now. But anyway, we all know Senator Dino, with his flamboyant lifestyle and all of that, making the statements. I saw the comments on social media. Everybody was coming for him. But for me, I want to look at it on a note that African leaders, let us see what, the outside country is doing. Let's see the roads. Let's see the infrastructure. Instead of castigating Dino, why don't we try to implement this in our own in our own country to make Nigeria better? Because oftentimes the conversation has left to how beautiful that road is, the lights and everything, to now saying that why should Dino say it? Why don't we rather look at how to make Nigeria better? I'm always talking about the positive side because I like to see a positive side in everything. Okay, well, he doesn't have the moral right to say what he said, but what are we doing to make Nigeria better?
I think it's paradoxical for Dino Melaye to, come out and call for, where he's a Nigerian, he can always call for good governance and all of that. But I think his quintessence, or let's say Dino Melaye exemplifies what he's preaching against. Everyone who sees Dino Melaye remembers the comedic atmosphere he brought to the Senate, even in his own privacy and all of that. And he's also one person that you feel like he's living a fairy tale when it comes to luxury and all of that. So to now be calling to say, yeah, leaders must do better. Yes, good call, but where is it coming from? So sometimes you get some very vital information, message, and then you doubt that message because of the what's it called, the mouth. That message is being, very true.
Indeed, I reckon, team, that if Dino sold some of his fleet of luxury cars, he could build a road or two that he's agitating for. But Mr. Melaye will do well to remember that silence in the face of corruption is indeed complicity. Thank you so much for your input, team. Still in the church, a video showing the return of Grace Nation pastor Chris Okafor to his church is gaining a lot of attention online. Now remember that Pastor Okafor had stepped down temporarily after the actress Doris Ogala made a series of allegations shortly after his wedding. She claimed that he influenced her to leave her marriage and later abandoned her to marry another woman. She also accused him of engaging in illicit and fetish practices. Pastor Okafor later apologized publicly from the pulpit and he stepped aside, but just weeks later, on the 1st of February, he returned to his church and his members welcomed him with flowers, placards, and a red carpet entrance. Some placards, as you can see there, read, "The shepherd is home and we love you always." He was later invited back to the pulpit by an officiating minister who praised him during the service. Recall that several other women, including one of his daughters, allegedly came out and cited sexual misconduct on his part towards them. But let's have a look at social media. I'll take two. Temitayo says, Auntie Doris will not sleep well tonight. I expect new content this week. He just stepped aside for the storm to calm down and he's back to office. Typical Nigeria for you. That's where the story ends. UGS Special says, good, spiritual setting aside is not bad. They love him. I pray his repentance will be genuine. Heaven at last to all. Very interesting here. Now while the story is about Chris Okafor, I think where we should focus on is our ability to hold people accountable and how public outrage often dies so soon. There are still victims, allegedly, in Pastor Chris Okafor's wake, and yet he's being welcomed like a hometown hero, Mr. Shomi.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to the police investigation. I remember he was invited by the police looking at some of the alleged atrocities. For me, I think Pastor Okafor, on one hand, took responsibility for his actions by apologizing to the church. On the other hand, again, he chose to come back, within a very short time, as if he never meant the apology. I mean, there is no sign of any sober reflection on his own part or accepting the full weight of the responsibilities, imposed on him, being the pastor of that church. So I think it's something we need to really watch out about this pastor.
You know the thing, I've never called him Pastor Okafor, Mr. Okafor, because I do not understand, how a pastor will act the way he's acted. And I tell you something, Olamide, we are very gullible, in Nigeria, because look at the choir singing, dancing. Like, people rather worship the man of God than even worship God, because what's all jubilation, Papa is back. This man is a man under investigation, and that's why you see a lot of ladies do not speak out because of things like this. What happens in the investigation? We need to know. So even if they've gone through an investigation, they didn't find him guilty, we need to know what happened. Not that we just wake up one morning and see him dancing back in church. This story doesn't sit well with me at all.
Maybe it's just an example of a prodigal son that we're all taught in Bible school growing up. Maybe. That's my comment.
Indeed, what messaging does this speak to the victims? But I thank you so much for your input, team. Moving on to more serious and inspirational matters. An American missionary named Alex Barber is gaining attention online after building about 35 houses for victims of terror attacks in Yelwata, Benue State. Many of the victims since the attack have been living in IDP camps for several months, and young Alex Barber reportedly chose to personally fly in from the USA and oversee the rebuilding project instead of donating funds through government channels. He said that he wanted to ensure that houses were delivered directly to displaced families. And on the ground, he has now been supervising for several months the construction himself, presenting the project as a hands-on humanitarian work. Now, of course, his effort has been widely praised by residents and observers, but it has also drawn concern from local authorities. The chairman of Gwer West Local Government Area, Omin Tosa Victor, criticized what he described as an unauthorized tour of communities with a foreign national. He called it a potential security risk in an area that is still facing attack from armed groups. But have a look at the young Alex Barber.
We've come in good faith, with good heart, to help the people, to rebuild where nobody is helping. But you are responsible to secure your own people. And there's security here now, but we can't see that they leave in 1 month or 2 months. I can't come back and see that Yawata has been burned and killed again. If it happens, you are liable. It is your job to protect them. And so I challenge you, I beg you, do your job.
Now, the Gwer West Local Government Area Council of Benue State says that it welcomes humanitarian support, but it's also insisting that such work must follow security protocols and official clearance processes. But this situation, a young man flying in from the US and rebuilding Nigerian communities, does of course highlight a sensitive balance. When urgent humanitarian help meets local authority and security concerns, who should control how aid is delivered to those who need it the most? Team, I have to take this story. This young man is a missionary. He went to Benue State, and he's rebuilding houses that were raised down in Yelwata. I think this is very inspirational. I think it's a call to action to every single Nigerian. If a foreign national can come here and help rebuild what was lost, what more us, sons of the soil. But I had to highlight his amazing work. It's very interesting to see that on one hand, the United States is being vilified, but you have citizens who are genuinely concerned about their brothers back home here in Nigeria.
Yeah, there's no doubt that aids have been used, by different countries to undermine the national security of one country or the other. And there are two sides to it. While on one part it's beneficial to the people, on the other part there could be security concerns. In this very case, I only see a young man who seems to be interested in helping the people of Yewata directly rather than subverting the security of the country. I mean, after all, it's only into building, ensuring that the buildings go directly to the people rather than going through official channels, which some people might suspect would edit the fund. So therefore, I think we should encourage him, while at the same time the security services should keep an eye on what he's doing. And interestingly, the people who killed our citizens in Yewata will be arraigned in court today.
All right, so for me, I love the fact that he came. In Hausa, we say Gafili Gadochi, come and see what is happening, rather than just sending funds that oftentimes we see the funds being, diverted. I think that, yes, we need to look at security, but we need to give this young man his accolades because he's doing something that, we here did not even do. These people lost their homes, lost their families, lost everything. So having somebody come to give them hope again, I do not think that we should throw any castigation on this particular person. Yeah,
I think it actually reminds me of what Dambisa Moyo wrote in her book, Dead Age, where people come, under missionary, on the government, IMF, etc. They say we're coming to give you aid and all of that. I remember what Donald Trump also, Scott Perry, one of the congressman in the U.S., the one who said that AIDS was also used to sponsor terrorism and all of that in Nigeria and some other developed countries. I think it's not right to undermine any authority of a country, of a state, when you want to, deliver your aid. But at the same time, while we are rejoicing on one hand, we need to open our eyes on the other side as well.
Absolutely. Bottom line, people who are living in IDP camps for months now have a roof over their head. Thank you so much for your input, team. Here on the TVC Breakfast Show, we truly believe that time is of the essence. The past, the present, and of course, the future. This segment is Notable Timelines.